In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well today. We have got Bitrock on this evening. Super interesting one. You may have seen them around on my Twitter as well if you follow me over there. I'll put the link into the Telegram as well, just so people have it. I do have it pinned as well. It's just the second pin on the roster, but we'll pop it in the chat as well, and then we'll get right into it. So we've got Procrastinator today. I'm just going to set a recording going just in case they want it to. Start recording. Okay, cool. Let's get going. Okay, so Procrastinator, welcome to the lounge. It's great to have you. We love getting some strong projects in here as well for the people that do like to listen, learn, and potentially invest in long-term projects as well as our degens. So it's great to have you here today. I hope you're having a great day. And I think it would be fantastic if you could give us a little bit of a rundown into what exactly Bitrock is, for those of us that don't know. And let's just say maybe a little bit about yourself and your aims and ambitions.
Yeah, so hi guys, just doing a quick mic check. Am I clear?
Perfectly.
Awesome. Hey Trev, how's it going? And hey Benson as well. Thanks for having me, guys, and for having the project. Obviously, really happy to be here. I think you're one of the people that I think the community has been, just even outside of Bitrock, have been following for a while. So glad we could actually kind of meet up somehow in the crypto space in this interview. So thanks for having us. Really excited to be here. Yeah, so I'll have a very quick intro about myself and then the project, and then kind of go into different kind of rabbit holes and details about the project as the conversation takes us. So first of all, yeah, my name is Procrastinator. I've been in crypto for probably about, I think, 7 years now, going on 7 at least. For the most part, I was just an investor, kind of generally following the market cycles, kind of on and off. When the market's kind of down, kind of don't invest too much. So on and off about 7 years. And then over the last couple of years, just as an investor, I've kind of started getting more involved with interacting with different project teams to kind of work for my bag in a way. So I wasn't on any teams or anything, but essentially you kind of have ideas on how different kind of, I don't know, strategies or marketing methods or whatever kind of might work based on what I've seen in other projects. So I kind of take them to those teams privately and stuff like that. And, they do with them as they will. So kind of just started getting into the whole advisory kind of strategy type of thing over the last couple of years, which eventually somehow led me to public speaking. This is kind of the first project that I work with, again, not necessarily on a team basis, but just in terms of helping out the team with different things. This time it's more on the AMA hosting, PR, still doing strategy, advisory, community management as well. So that's kind of mostly what I do for Bitrock. And that's the only project that I'm involved with right now in kind of in that way, because I kind of try to focus my energies on projects that I'm heavily invested in as well. But Bitrock, I kind of got in as just an investor in the early stages. Granted, I could have invested a little bit more, but no one knew where things would take us. So it is what it is. And yeah, mostly now just kind of doing my thing with Bitrock. So in terms of Bitrock itself, it is a layer 2 Ethereum sidechain. And there's obviously a few of those in the market. Not completely saturated, I would say, just yet, but there's quite a few, and there's obviously some market leaders as well. So I'll go into what makes Bitrock a little bit different, but just first of all, just give a very quick intro about the project. So first of all, the project is 2 months old, I think, or actually 7 weeks old. So it'll be 2 months next week. And like I said, it is a layer 2 Ethereum blockchain, and it is a proof of authority. So it's not a proof of stake or proof of work. It's a proof of authority consensus, which is a little bit different in the L2 space in and of itself, especially on ETH. Most of what you see is proof of stake for the most part. But at the end of the day, obviously, there are some, not too many, but just a few, maybe L1 proof of authority blockchains, but you don't see too many of them in the L2 space. Being a proof of authority blockchain enables us to essentially focus on speed, cost effectiveness, scalability, and security. So very quickly kind of putting out some facts or kind of metrics. Speed is 2 seconds per block, so block times 2 seconds. The gas fee is somewhere around $0.401 per transaction. Very cheap, pretty much you can say gasless, very scalable, very secure, and at the end of the day, essentially that kind of infrastructure allows us to focus a little more on different things where other blockchains have maybe, I wouldn't say, not focused, but their infrastructure doesn't allow them to kind of take them to where things take us. Another thing I wanted to mention is that for the blockchain itself, as of just a few days ago, we've completed the blockchain and contract audit with CTD-SEC. And the report is available on our GitHub, it's available on our website, it's available in our Telegram, and on obviously CTD-SEC social media as well. The results are surprisingly, the score itself is 100%, which I personally have not necessarily seen. But again, CTD-SEC have worked with Ripple, Ethereum, DEX tools. Every testing scenario and method of testing that they've used is in the report, so people can actually see what was tested, rather than just identifying potential vulnerabilities and so on. So everything that was tested is in the report, and people can go take a look for themselves. The core team consists of 4 members, and they're based in the Netherlands and Belgium. I work with them. I'm based in Dubai myself, and like I said, I help out the team with strategy, advisory, PR, community management, and AMAs and stuff like that. And the 4 members of the core team have done their KYC with Assured DeFi. For those not familiar with Assured DeFi, they're pretty much a leader in the KYC space in crypto. They collaborate with the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as other legal jurisdictions and government entities as well. We've had them multiple times on our own community spaces on Twitter spaces, in-house ones. And they've described the process that they go through to secure projects, to grant them the KYC, and also their action plans in case any scams or malicious activity happens in projects that have been KYC'd by them as well. So it's a very, very involved and laborious process, and they do take action in those cases, unlike many, many, many other entities or companies that do KYCs in the space but don't end up really doing much if shit hits the fan, basically. Sorry for my language, but like I said, the project was launched 2 months ago, but the blockchain development itself started 2 months before that. So the blockchain development took 2 months before launch and was completed and was funded out of the team's pocket. And then once it was launched, it was a stealth launch. So there's no pre-sale, there's no private sale, there's no seed rounds, there's no venture capital, none of that stuff. And the stealth launch was on July 13th. And what that enables us to do enables the project to basically have is a much more attractive entry point, or let's say a higher potential return on investment for a, let's say, promising layer 2 project. And I think we all know where those can go. Obviously, just because other projects have gone to X market cap does not mean that Y project will do the same, but it is some type of indication in terms of the kind of perceived potential of a project on where that can go. And obviously for the average investor, they try to get in as early as possible, especially with things like limited capital or lack of knowledge about crypto and stuff like that. So it's always better to get in early. At least you'll kind of make some return on your investment. Even to get to the market cap that we are now, a lot of people got in fairly early. Our circulating supply is 100 million. Our total supply is also 100 million. So there's nothing locked. There's no vesting. There's, like I said, again, no private sale, no pre-sale, none of that type of stuff. So there's no vesting schedule or dilution in the future that people can expect that would impact market cap or lead to dumps on investments or stuff like that, which I think, again, is quite a unique aspect for a blockchain project, because typically those do have that type of backing, and those investors do get their tokens unlocked later on in the future, which they may end up selling, or again diluting the market cap and stuff like that. So again, something that's very strong for Bitrock. We do have staking live as well. Speaking of the supply, we do have staking live, both on the mainnet as well as on the Ethereum side. On the Ethereum side, it's at 30% APY with a 7-day lock period. On the mainnet side, it's 60% APY with a 14-day lock period, so 2 weeks. And in total, between both, we have over 40% of the supply staked. Again, total is the same as circulating, so it's 40% of the total supply. Over 40% is currently staked, so that's quite healthy for us, and just goes to show kind of the trust of the community and their faith in the project. And kind of going more into maybe the utilities and stuff like that. So as I mentioned, or kind of the infrastructure, again, our gas fees around 0.401, so people can, basically transact gas free essentially. 2-second block time, around a 12,000 max TPS, transactions per second. So for context, Arbitrum can be as long as a 14-second block time, and for TPS context, Polygon Matic only has 7,000 transactions per second, so we're almost double them. Our mainnet side went live around 3 days after launch. Yes, we have our own DEX, which is RockSwap, which is kind of the official DEX of the Bitrock chain. Again, this is a little bit different maybe from other chains, because to my knowledge, Uniswap, for example, is not by the Ethereum team, and PancakeSwap is not by the Binance team. So it's a little bit different. So we have an official kind of DEX, which was developed and deployed by the Bitrock team. And we're also integrated with Sphinx Labs ecosystem, and Sphinx Labs have worked quite extensively with many, many big blockchain projects as well. Arbitrum, Loop, Curve, Optimism, many different projects or many different blockchains. So we're integrated into their ecosystem. So that includes the bridge. So our current bridge is through them, and we are working on our own bridge as well. So we will have 2 bridges, one through Sphinx, which is live, and one that will be from Bitrock as well in the future, into their swap as well, Sphinx Swap, into their launchpad for pre-sales, into their LP liquidity locker, their charting tools, their airdrop tools, and their DApp as well. So again, we're integrated into their entire ecosystem. And like I mentioned, we have our own DEX, so people can buy on either or. Speaking of the DEX, currently one of our main areas of focus, or one of the dev team's areas of focus, which they're extensively working on right now, is a layer of multi-chain integration, which essentially means that starting with the Ethereum chain, which is the first chain to be integrated into the swap, you will be able to buy tokens on the Ethereum chain, as an example, without having to hold Ethereum and without having to use Uniswap. Essentially, the gas would be equalized into Bitrock, and you would pay it in Bitrock, native mainnet Bitrock, of course. And that essentially aims to kind of keep volume and keep Bitrock on the chain, as well as kind of give people incentive to interact more with the swap, as well as with the different utilities, and obviously the projects on the chain and so on. Because currently, as it stands, for the most part, what you would have to do is, if you have BNB, for example, or even Bitrock, you'd kind of have to bridge it back or send it to an exchange, and then sell it or buy Ethereum, depending on what you want to do. Send your Ethereum to a wallet, and then buy whatever token you want on Uniswap. So to kind of consolidate all those steps into one, you would essentially just be able to do all of this on our swap, Rock Swap, once the multi-chain integration is done with the Ethereum chain. And again, we are going to go chain by chain. So naturally, Ethereum is the first one, and then Binance is probably the second one, and then we kind of go into different chains and so on, depending on activity, value added, and stuff like that. The last thing I kind of want to quickly mention right now is that or the last couple of things, sorry, is we also have a token builder live. So what the token builder, it's built in-house by the Bitrock dev team. It's live as of last week. What that essentially allows people to do is it has a standard preloaded contract into the token builder itself. People cannot interact with that contract in any way. They can only set parameters for different functions. So things like the total supply, the name of the project, the buy and sell tax, what percent goes into liquidity, what percent goes into the marketing wallet. You set your marketing wallet address, and then there's a couple more things. You link your wallet, you deploy the contract, you add liquidity, and your token's ready to go. There's no coding involved. You don't need to use Remix or any other type of tool to help you deploy. It's essentially a very user-friendly tool essentially in our ecosystem, and it's again developed in-house to enable people to actually deploy and give them ease and facilitate that deployment of contracts. Because again, as a new blockchain, you kind of want to make sure you have enough volume and you have enough contracts and projects launching for activity. So that's an additional tool for people with little coding knowledge, no coding knowledge, or people who may be just lazy and have just a basic standard requirement for a contract that's not, by any means custom to the project that they are deploying, with pretty standard functions as well. And the last thing I want to mention is that the team conducted a KYC with Assured DeFi. Oh, I did mention that, sorry. So yeah, I think that's for the most part what I kind of wanted to mention. I will talk about maybe a few of the projects that have launched on the chain and the approach that we have to launching those projects. Obviously, as a blockchain, again, you kind of want to have activity on the chain and so on. And for that, the Bitrock team kind of extended an open invitation to any teams that want to partner for a launch of their project on the chain to kind of launch it as an official partner project, quote unquote. What that means basically is that even though it wouldn't be launched by the Bitrock team, it would kind of be incubated or sponsored in a way by the Bitrock team, where there would be marketing by the team on the socials and on the different platforms. They'd be support pre-launch, post-launch, and during launch as well. And there's different incentives that go into being a partner project, obviously. In exchange, those teams undergo a strict vetting process. They have to do a KYC basically with our partner, which is Assured DeFi. So Assured DeFi is our partner, not just for the KYC of the Bitrock team, but also KYCing official partner projects as well. And that kind of gives an added layer of security. Again, it's not the end all be all, but it is an added layer of security for people kind of wanting to make more safer investments on the chain, which is completely fair. Again, obviously, anyone can launch any project they want. It is a blockchain, but they wouldn't kind of get that backing or that sponsorship from the Bitrock team. So currently we have 3 that have been launched over the last couple of weeks. The first one being launched by the Bitrock team itself, actually, and that was the first one, and that's the RockSwap token. So it's kind of like the PancakeSwap token or the Uniswap token. So that's the first one, and that did very well. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into the numbers, but it launched at around a $5,000 market cap. It hit around 1.6 million in like 3 or 4 minutes. And then the volume was almost 2 million in the first hour or 2 hours or something like that. And so on and so on. Currently, it's at around 1.4, 1.5 million. So pretty solid consolidation. And then the second project a few days after that was Wrapped Platform, which is a multi-chain NFT integration platform for displaying your NFTs, interacting with different NFT holders. It's a very strong utility project as well. They've just minted their first 100 NFTs and they completely sold out. So that's very nice to see as well. RockSwap was a stealth launch. Wrapped platform was a pre-sale, and then the third one, which launched a few days ago, was Milestone Millions, and that project focuses on different kind of dApp utilities like wallets and stuff like that, and also on tokenization of the real estate market. That was a stealth launch, launched from I think an $8,000 market cap, maybe somewhere around that. I think currently, or kind of reached to about 180,000 market cap, something like that. Right now, consolidating. I'm not exactly sure where it's consolidating, but it's consolidating probably somewhere in the 80s or 90s. So it's going pretty well. But at the same time, we have a whole host of kind of unofficial projects on their own missions, doing their own thing. So the chain's doing pretty well, but obviously it is still new and the traffic could be more and we could have more and more projects. So that's being worked on right now. I'm sorry I went on and on. I'll end it here for now and I'll kind of let you take it from there.
Love what I'm hearing there, procrastinator. There is a few things that we need to, of course, synthesize and simplify for the community. Yeah. So what Bitrock's basically doing here is they are building a chain that is way more accessible in terms of fees mostly, and the pace of transactions as well, which is something we all hate. If we've invested in Ethereum, we've realized that some days the gas fees are so high, like you're literally spending more in the fees for the validator and the chain than you're actually purchasing. So imagine going to a supermarket, buying an apple for $2 and having to pay $6 because $4 go to the cashier. Imagine that.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. That's exactly the main issue with the Ethereum chain, among others. Having kind of equating it to that cashier example, you'd have to wait probably 7th in queue or maybe 8th to kind of get your apple. So
that's just insane. But we still do it though. We still spend it. So until there is people consuming it, just like everything in life, until you still have people consuming it, there will still be validators around. And one thing I want to mention as well is that you guys are using an external POA, right? You are right now using another validator that's giving you the service, basically. Is that correct?
Actually, the validators are all hosted and monitored by the team, and obviously we do have additional nodes as well. So I think we have around 30 or maybe 20 or something in total currently, but there's many of them that are hosted. I mean, all of them are monitored by the team, but at the same time, we have had a few people apply to be node validators, and they obviously have to, because of a proof of authority consensus, they kind of have to apply for that, and the team has already approved some of them. So some of them we are already validators, but for the most part, it's all by the team. It's not actually kind of like a third party. Obviously, we do have part of the deal we have with CTD SEC, who are the auditing partner that we have, as well as our cybersecurity partner as well, is we have also a real-time team assembled to monitor the node activities and the chain overall as well, in case of any potential threats, vulnerabilities, and stuff like that. And it's just been confirmed to me actually by the team that there's no third party or provider. It's all by the team.
That's great. I didn't know that, and now that I know, that is great, because that's one of the things that I was mostly worried about. You guys not being ready for certain issues that happen with external parties. You already know, like when you are relaying your services on external parties in general, you might face issues. So if you guys are on that already, then that's crazy. Very, very good. I love what you're building. Big supporter. I talk to Trav about it a lot as well. He's getting to slowly find out as the days go on, because you guys are actually building a lot, and you are bringing to DeFi a chain, which is what people use basically daily. We live on chain. Whether you use BSC, ERC20, these are needed. This is like oxygen for decentralized finance, basically. So that's why your product is so interesting, because it's how can we say it? It's basically like water for human beings. Like, you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, there's considerably bigger chains in the market already, but we wouldn't have kind of launched, or the team wouldn't have launched their own if there wasn't still room for further improvement. So again, in terms of infrastructure, it does perform quite well. When you compare it to competitors or others in the market. But it's not just about the performance itself, it's about the infrastructure. So again, the gas fees and stuff like that, because ultimately it's not too difficult to launch a project on a bridge, on a blockchain. But to kind of get existing projects to bigger projects to bridge to our chain, which is something that is being explored right now and it's something that is being actively pursued by the team. It's something that kind of takes a little bit more convincing, so to speak, because again, they would say, well, why don't we bridge to ARB? Or why don't we bridge to Optimism? Or maybe we're already bridged to both of them. Why do we need to bridge to Bitrock? And again, the answer lies in the infrastructure, the different incentives of the team, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different components that go into having chain activity, but having an L2 itself is much needed, obviously, because the Ethereum chain is it's a almost honestly a bit of a disaster. So.
No, I can't agree more with that. Can you hear me well, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you well now. I think you were cutting up a little bit earlier, but I could still get you, but it's better now.
Must have been the device. I just changed. I was just saying, yeah, I can't agree more with the fact that yes, there are other chains, but there is so much room for improvement. Like, all of these
Yeah.
chains that we have right now have a lot of things to be improved. So like, we slowly get people like you guys trying and eventually mostly succeed in bringing new chains that are more enjoyable for people overall. When we talk about fees, when we talk about pace in transactions, DeFi needs to be almost instant to be
Yeah.
fighting against, or be a straight up competitor of standard finances. Uh, because if you take 10 minutes for a transaction, it's not interesting anymore.
Yeah.
You get banks nowadays transferring money in a second, and I'm talking about liquid. So
Yeah.
with that said, one of the biggest improvements that we need to do is bring a chain that people want to use. Build a cult behind the chain, just like Ethereum did. Ethereum, to be honest, if you look at the tangibles of Ethereum, it is such a shitty chain right now.
Yeah.
It's humongous fees. It takes so long to validate transactions, and at the same time, there's literally nothing on it apart from the cult. So that's very important, and that's where my next question comes. How do you guys feel about building a movement, a cult behind Bitrock?
I mean, if you kind of dissociate the negative connotation of the word cult, then I mean that's ideal because I mean we've kind of started having. I mean we have almost 6,000 Telegram members at the moment, and I think we have more holders than we do have Telegram members. But obviously it's not just limited to Telegram; it's on Twitter as well. I mean the key is to kind of get everyone talking about it, but not in the sense of talking about it because they're paid to do so, but more so getting them to talk about it because there's value in talking about it and it actually solves a problem or adds value to something existing or provides something new. That's kind of what you're looking at. So again, we've had quite significant calls or crypto Twitter accounts or Telegram channels or what have you, like PR platforms or stuff like that, talking about Bitrock, and most of it was completely organic content. because of the value that so they must have heard of it through word of mouth, or again, kind of with these crypto Twitter accounts especially, you kind of have a kind of private channels with different people talking privately with each other and stuff like that, and word of mouth can travel really fast. So that's the key. And on top of that, obviously, we're trying to align ourselves with different partners to make sure that we have people by our side that actually see the value in this project, even from its current stage of infancy, which, even considering where we are now, we've accomplished quite a bit. So that's the key. Obviously, also having solidly performing projects on the chain to attract more and more people, and obviously at the same time, it seems especially having a very fast block time and a very quick, very cheap gas fees. That actually is very stealth launch friendly, because a lot of people, when they try to buy stealth launches, they either get outsmarted by bots, or bots are too quick. Thankfully, because it's a new chain, there aren't too many bots, that maybe just a couple that are actually compatible with the chain. So we've seen stealth launches perform extremely well, whereas on other chains, it's almost a nightmare. Even other L2s, because they've been out for a while, and essentially you kind of have people either waiting for dips or not investing at all because of this, or bots are obviously a thing as well. So that's actually an added value to having that type of block time. So again, there's a lot of intricacies and nuances to actually having that type of infrastructure for a chain, even though it's still new. And I mean, there's a few things that I quickly wanted to mention as well that I may have missed. So we do have, actually, in terms of what's been bridged over to the mainnet, that's been 25% of the entire supply, and that's currently worth around $1.75 million. So that's currently on the chain, still on the chain, ready to either invest in projects or holding projects already, or staking or what have you. We did a whole bunch of integrations which are considerably faster than most other L2s would be able to. And again, I'm kind of restricting it to more on the stealth launch side of L2s, kind of early inception, not backed by any VCs or stuff like that. So we've integrated ourselves with DEX tools, and that's our integration with DEX tools was the fastest ever integration into DEX tools. That's what we've been told by them. Typically takes months. We did it in like 3 weeks. DexView, PinkSale, Gecko Terminal, Avidex, Flues, Bitmart. So we're listed on Bitmart and BitGet as exchanges, and Bitmart have actually integrated our mainnet there as well. So you can withdraw and deposit Bitrock through the native chain from and to Bitmart, which is great because that's an alternative to the bridge, essentially. We're integrated with Trust Wallet for swapping, so you can swap to the Ethereum Bitrock, so Bitrock on the Ethereum chain directly from Trust Wallet, not through a swap. We're again integrated with Sphinx Labs. We just finished price integration with MetaMask yesterday, which basically to fetch the native token price on MetaMask. We have Dex Screener on the way, and obviously there's multiple wallet integrations on the way as well. So a lot has been kind of done, considering we've only been live for a month and like 3 weeks. And obviously you can add the chain itself as a custom chain currently on those wallets. Whatever wallets support custom chains, you can add them there until we finish integration with them. So again, you have your MetaMask, Trust Wallet for Android, SafePal, Coinbase Wallet, OKX Web3 wallet. There's a whole bunch of different ones. And, it's looking like a bright future. But again, the AMAs are part of kind of our exposure efforts in terms of exposing ourselves to different communities. Because if you just sit around and develop utilities all day, I mean, that's great. But if people don't know about it or don't hear about it, then I don't want to say it's almost as if it hasn't been done, but there would be a kind of a serious lack of awareness. So we're trying to tackle it on all fronts, and it's honestly, I feel personally, it's a matter of time before we kind of have that major adoption. We've already had considerable adoption, more than we've expected in those weeks since the mainnet has been live, or a month or so, but it's only going to get better from there. So hopefully.
I personally love it. Already a big fan as well of how you are presenting things to the investors and the audience, which is very important. You know,
Yeah.
to be prepared to the public is so important for a startup. Like, people listen to what you have to say, and if you say it a certain way or another, makes a huge difference towards the approach of people. Now, one of the last things that I wanted to touch base on was how how you actually manage to get such low fees, and how you manage to sustain that in general, because this is very, very hard to sustain in a stable manner. You know what I mean, right? Like, these things
Yeah.
can change from the night to the morning. So, like, what's the plan there to keep it stable for people so that there are no, hey, so I thought like we had low fees and look at what's happened here. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, well, there's a couple components there. Obviously, first of all, because of the actual infrastructure and obviously being proof of authority, IBFT 2.0, the rewards are constant. So, part of the kind of competition for fees and so on comes obviously from the competition of miners, or essentially kind of wanting to kind of get the most reward for their transactions, and obviously again, not approving unless the gas fees are X or Y or Z or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a constant reward for validator nodes on our network. It's currently, I think, 0.301 Bitrock for every block. It doesn't change, which is why, again, compared to a proof of stake or proof of work network, you don't have an infinite amount of miners. To become a node, you have to apply and stuff like that. So the number of nodes is actually validated. So that's it's actually regulated, is what I meant to say. So that's number one. Number two, in terms of general fees and stuff like that, we do have a 4.4 tax on the Ethereum side. So that's 1% of that is used for the liquidity, goes straight into it, and then 3% goes into marketing. So we do have kind of funds for the project mostly through that. Obviously, again, on the mainnet side, we do have the low fees, and obviously it also comes from the framework, from the Hyperledger, to be able to have those low fees, and it's set up from the Genesis file to make it pretty economic. So it's not a matter of, and again, with our TPS, to be able to have a much higher TPS or max TPS on the network, along with constant validator rewards, actually enables the network to sustain a very high volume of transactions without actually any significant fluctuations in gas fees. So that's how, I mean, the gas fees are fairly stable and they don't kind of fluctuate compared to other networks like Ethereum, for example. Again, obviously the real test will kind of be in a bull market, which I think for Ethereum, we can all say it's ridiculous, and people tend to kind of maybe stay away from Ethereum, from the Ethereum network, or kind of reduce their activity on it because of the gas fees, or they have to wait until they're lower during the day, in which case they may miss out on launches and stuff like that. So we do recognize that type of importance to maintain constant gas fees. So that's kind of how it's maintained to be stable. And at the same time, again, we kind of want to wait for the bull market to see, but it's regulated very well from multiple different aspects to make sure that it's a stable, or it's more stable than pretty much any other L2 network or even Ethereum itself. And one more thing I wanted to mention, which I just forgot, but basically, yeah, I think I missed it. I'll mention it if I remember it. Sorry about that.
That happens, you know, when you're
Oh,
talking.
I remembered it. I
Yeah, yeah,
remembered it.
go
Sorry
for it,
about
go
that.
for it.
The main, yeah. So the thing I wanted to mention was, like, I actually did. That was just my personal effort. I actually did a very quick. It wasn't too in depth, so I could be off. But I did a quick study, or kind of figure gathering, on how many actual transactions happen per second on the different chains. So Ethereum or ARB or even Optimism and stuff like that, you're looking at anywhere between 700 to like maybe 1,500 on the higher end per second, even on the Ethereum chain itself. But obviously that's attempted transactions. That doesn't mean they go through within that time. But when you get to the layer 2s, they're faster and so on. But to actually have a max TPS of 12,000 enables it to be very stable, because that's well over the actual real life transactions per second that may happen on any or most given blockchains. And worth mentioning is that in our partnership with CTD-SEC, who again is not just our auditing partner, but also our cybersecurity partner, they're actually working with the team to actually push that TPS even further. So there are multiple things that can be tweaked within the network framework itself and different security layers and stuff like that to actually push the TPS even further. Now, whether that needs to be done right now kind of remains to be seen, because 12,000 is very, very good as is. But later on, they kind of want to explore different ways to actually push that further. And to know what needs to be done to achieve that is something that's being worked on right now. But to actually put it into action and apply it is something that will probably come on an as-needed basis later on. But there's definite room for that, and that's been confirmed by the dev team as well as CTD-SEC as well. So
amazing. Yeah, no, that's great to know. Great to know. I'm very satisfied with the whole interview. Not gonna lie, it's been super successful in general. There is one last thing that we're going to talk about now, which is of course the close future ahead, and we all know that the crypto market right now is a bit boring. We can say it's just lateralizing for the altcoins. It doesn't look too motivating for people. So, what's motivating about Bitrock right now, and why should people invest now and not tomorrow, for example? Like, let's tell people that. And I think with that we can just round it up.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, there's a few different aspects to kind of touch on as an answer to that. So first of all, on a utility level, there's a whole lot more to come. Number one being a version 2 of RockSwap, and that's actually going live later this week, if not earlier. And I mean, the team, honestly, again, even though I haven't been involved with teams and stuff like that, but again, the team itself, they're working tirelessly to kind of really, they don't sleep. Like I see texts in the group chat at 4 a.m., at 4 p.m. Like these people, honestly, I don't think they sleep, or they sleep very little, obviously. So there's a lot being pushed out. First of all, being V2 for RockSwap, which has a lot of UI improvements, performance improvements, added options for users. It's going to be very similar to kind of more bigger swaps. I don't want to mention any specifics, but the UI is going to be very, it's quite professional as is, but it's going to be even more professional. There's going to be a V2 Explorer soon in the future as well. But after the V2 RockSwap, the main focus is our multi-chain integration. So first of all, you want to kind of invest in a project when you kind of do, obviously you do your own research and stuff like that. When you find promise based on the track record that the team already has, what's been delivered and how fast it's been delivered, on top of how active the team is in the chats, on their socials, how open they are to taking questions, how they handle, let's say, dips, or how they handle pumps. It's the same thing. A lot of teams panic when things go down, or they get too hyped when things go up and feel like they're invincible. The team is actually pretty neutral. So again, it's a very professional team, especially in a mental aspect, whereas a lot of other teams may get, again, in our stage, I'm not necessarily comparing to kind of the bigger ones, but again, in our kind of demographic, or the stage the project is in, the team is still leveled. They're level-headed. They don't kind of they continue to work. Whether we go up, whether we go down, the work never stops. There's things going on every day, and that's actually quite literally. There's multiple things posted on either a news basis or a utility basis or a marketing basis daily, which is something I've rarely seen in a crypto project. Now, when you kind of look at promise in a project and doing your own research, looking at the performance of the project, the life cycle of the project, where it currently is as it stands compared to its all-time high, for example, and what's to come in those different aspects like utility, marketing, integrations, exchanges, and stuff like that, then you're able to kind of make a more informed decision on whether that's something that you want to get involved with now, or if you wait until all those catalysts play out and you kind of buy at a much higher market cap. So it's a trade-off to either kind of wait it out and see if the team actually delivers, but you'd have strong indications of that based on the 2 months that we've already been live, or you kind of get involved now and you actually ride the wave up to wherever that ends up taking us. So that's one thing. Now, in terms of actual plans, like I said, we do have V2 for RockSwap. Then the focus will be the multi-chain integration, which I think is, personally, I'm not speaking on behalf of the project when I say this, but personally, I think this is going to be a game changer, because I know that there may be one or two other swaps that actually do this whole multi-chain thing, but number one, they're not within the context of a blockchain project, especially, and number two, they're not compatible with Bitrock. So to kind of have that with Bitrock and make use of the projects that are launching on the chain at such early stages for when the mainstream adoption actually comes and people start seeing the value in those projects now and start getting involved with those. So you get involved with Bitrock is one thing, but then bridging over and starting to get involved with the projects on the chain is a whole other thing. And again, riding that wave up top is a whole other thing as well. So there's a lot of value there. And obviously, we do have other utilities that are in plans. There's multiple integrations planned. Obviously, I mentioned Dex Screener. There's multiple other integrations, including wallets as well. So there's a whole bunch of integration going on right now, or in the process, and more to come, of course. And as well as, obviously, exchange listings. So I mentioned BitGet, Bitmart. Those are the two that we listed on. Bitmart being the first one, I think around a week after launch, or maybe a week and a half. BitGet, I think, came 2 weeks after that, or another week and a half after that. And then we kind of wanted to then kind of take a step back, focus more on the utility, focus more on the development, because we know that the exchange listings will come, and exchange listings utility is actually what adds value to a utility project. And so when you start adding utility upon utility and enhancing existing utilities, and that adds value to your project, whether it translates to a drastic rise in market cap or not, whether it's a little bit, whether it's not at all, that doesn't take anything away from the actual value of the project itself. The other bigger exchanges now start taking notice, and they start saying, well, these people have volume, these people are doing this and that. We can actually give them a better deal for listings, which is something that's already kind of started manifesting itself in some of the approaches we've had, whether we've approached tier 1 or 2 exchanges or they've approached us. So we're trying to kind of step up a notch with every listing. And after BitGet, which is a top 10 or 12, I think, worldwide exchange, then you start kind of getting into higher tier 2s and then tier 1s. And obviously those have all sorts of different requirements, whether it's market cap, project age, and then life cycle, number of holders. There's a whole bunch of different kind of aspects that go, and obviously supply allocations and stuff like that. So that kind of makes us want to focus more on the project side so that we can actually optimize the deals that we get with those exchanges, which will come. So we can look forward to that when the time comes. And then obviously marketing side, we've aligned ourselves with some amazing partners. Trav is one of our partners currently as well. And I mean, we have multiple different partnerships with, whether it's Discord accounts, TikTok, Twitter, I don't know what else, YouTube. There's a whole bunch of partnerships, and that's actually proved to be a very solid marketing approach for us. Obviously, partnerships are not the only type of marketing that we do, but it is something that we strongly focus on, because rather than focusing on one post or just one mention for someone that's just paid to do it without actually being convinced, we focus on those actual strategic long-term partnerships with people who believe in the product, who believe in the project, who believe in the team, and then they share it with their circles, and then there's actually more conviction in the way that they share it with other people, whether it's publicly on their socials or privately with their, family, friends, other influencers, or what have you. It's a lot more convincing when you have a solid project foundation to actually, quote unquote, shill to people. So
And
No,
that's
that's
well,
great.
yeah, it's good. I mean, the thing is, obviously, being in marketing myself, is you can do single posts with influencers, but I don't think a single post will do much. Um, it's like you see McDonald's, right? And everyone knows McDonald's, so they just naturally, I don't know, I think they're more prone to going in. And McDonald's obviously don't need to advertise consistently, but
yeah,
why do they? Because like the more you see something, the more you naturally just get interested in it. I want to at least look at it. And I think it's smart that you're taking that approach. I mean, obviously today isn't a paid interview. I do have a paid sponsorship, obviously, with Bitrock, the Benson here organised. He manages a lot of my promotions and things, but Bitrock is generally solid. Like this interview right now is not part of that sponsorship. Like Bitrock have a great community. I like the fact that they're trying to bring a new chain to the space, which it's not an easy thing to do, and
yeah.
it's definitely also, you guys have to agree in the audience today. It's been an interesting listen. Like it just is just learning about, like, we've had a gasless blockchain on a long time ago. I can't remember how long it was. Those guys didn't succeed, but that is something I did want to ask you. Like, this is why it's interesting.
Yeah.
So obviously you guys are a gasless blockchain, right? Could you explain to us how that works? Because everybody here that isn't used to Bitrock already, they're used to paying fees on even BNB chain, which is like, I don't know, 10 cents. How
Yeah.
much would how do you guys actually achieve this gasless blockchain?
So it's not entirely gasless. I think it's near zero. It's not zero. And obviously, with the value of having a very quick block time on the chain, that actually enables a lot of transactions to be done per second faster than other blockchains, which again would actually end up with accumulating more of those transaction fees and gas fees and stuff like that faster than other blockchains. That's one part. And earlier on the AMA, I was talking about the framework and the different TPS and the fixing or stabilization of the node validator rewards and stuff like that to actually achieve that consistent gas price. But we also, obviously, with any swap like Rock Swap, there's also network fees, and those are actually still quite low. Again, they're like 0.0001 Brock. And then we have the tax on the Ethereum side, because currently the Ethereum side is the entry point for the most part. Again, unless you're on Bitmart, then you would be able to buy from there. It's against USDT, and then you can send it directly through the Bitrock mainnet on Bitmart into your wallet, which may support, again, a custom network to set up the Bitrock network. But that's kind of probably a much lower percentage of our community in terms of the who uses Bitmart versus who doesn't. So the majority of people end up going through ETH currently. So ETH, you would have to first buy the ETH Bitrock, which then has that tax, and then you bridge it over using that Sphinx bridge, and then you can essentially interact with any project. So there's multiple different aspects, and obviously there's different components of the chain that can be monetized as well. So for example, the team have built a staking bot, which essentially is exactly the same as a buy bot in the chat, but instead it says, or it pops up whenever someone stakes on the ETH side, it pops up how much they, same thing as a buy bot essentially, but similar to how buy bot can be monetized with those ads at the bottom, or essentially integrating it with different blockchains, or integrating it with different projects in their chats. The same thing can be done for the staking bot, which is something the team is exploring. So that's an additional layer of monetization. And then there's a couple of different things that the team are working on. Whether it's NFT market, there's an NFT marketplace in the works as well by the team. So there's different layers that can be monetized for the chain to ensure that long-term kind of sustainability. But there's no worries at all currently because everything that happened post-launch has been funded through those fees, essentially. Obviously, the majority being from those taxes on the ETH side, and obviously, again, when you start kind of getting into higher market caps, like right now we're at like 7 million almost. People start kind of investing with more money, and the more money invested because of our liquidity. So our liquidity is actually pretty healthy. If I can quickly check, yeah. So the actual liquidity is right around 10% of market cap, which is very solid. Somewhere around that, like 9.5, maybe 10%, which is actually very solid, and it kind of reduces price impact for buys and sells. So people can buy big, but they can also obviously sell big. And the more you buy, or the bigger you buy, the more fees taken, the more goes into the wallet, and so on and so on. And that'll only go higher the higher market caps that we reach. So it's very sustainable as of right now.
Yes, it's honestly super interesting. So, if I was to go about buying Bitrock, do I have to have Ethereum? I mean, I've seen that you have Flues. So, I mean, to buy with Flues, obviously, you're probably going to pay a little bit of a fee on the Flues side.
Yeah.
Ethereum, I assume that you still pay Ethereum gas fees to buy Bitrock. Is there any way to buy Bitrock without paying any taxes?
On Bitmart. I mean, or on BitGet, but you wouldn't be able to withdraw it through the mainnet on BitGet. But on any exchange, it's taxless, obviously. At the same time, part of the growth catalyst essentially is to actually have the current entry, or the most people's go-to entry point being Ethereum right now, is obviously something that's helpful because it directly ties into our growth. But also, actually later on, there are integrations of the mainnet. So again, on Bitmart, you can buy it directly against USDT. You don't need Ethereum. You can send it directly to the mainnet to your wallet, or through the mainnet to your wallet without Ethereum. So there's no Ethereum in that process. If you buy it on BitGet, you would buy it on BitGet, but then you wouldn't be able to send it. You would either have to send the Ethereum Bitrock to Bitmart, then send it to through the mainnet to your wallet, or send it to your wallet directly and then bridge it to be a mainnet Bitrock. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously a couple of ways, and Flues being one of them as well, that you can avoid ETH, and also avoiding tax as well on the exchanges. But with Flues, you would pay a bit of a fee because that's from them, not from us. So. And there's more exchanges obviously coming too. So, I mean, that's not the two exchanges that we're on are not the only ones that we're going to stay on. There's more that's going to come, but I'm just saying as of right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, Benson, but no, I really do like this. I was doing a bit of, obviously, you were the person that vetted this for me. Like I said earlier, you managed a lot of my stuff, but I was looking for everything just now, and I like this. I really do like this. It looks really strong. You guys get on more exchanges, increase accessibility. You have Flues as well. Looking good, dude. Like I like this. It's I'm glad that we brought you on today because I got to learn a little bit more myself as well. And I'm liking what I see. Honestly, it looks very, very solid.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Yeah. Okay. What were you saying, Benson? Sorry.
I was just saying it was very well explained as well. Like that's one of the things that made it a lot easier for everyone today because it's a bit technical. Bitrock's one of these projects you need to be very, very savvy in terms of crypto because
the
it's
liquidity pool as well is very strong. Like $760,000 in the liquidity pool.
exactly. Like this is one of the projects that if things go right and they keep going and flowing the right way, it could do very well because as I said before, it's a necessity for people to have more and more chains that can send transactions quickly with really low fees because that's convenient. So that's pretty much why this is interesting at the end of the
I mean,
day.
it's essentially a competitor for BNB, like it just is.
Yeah, fully competitive. That's why I was talking about the cult and the environment you bring around it, because
Hmm.
BNB unfortunately got very bad reputation because of the people launching on it, and having
Yeah, I agree.
very
I
bad behavior overall on the chain. So that's why you need to build certain limits as well for the people launching on your chain, so that you build a
yeah.
decent culture around
I
it.
mean, the thing is though, like, there's not a lot you can do about that. And in 2021, like the MB price was super good, and like the utility projects, a lot of them, I think a lot of them were fairly good. I don't remember that many shady projects, and even the meme culture
Yeah.
was pretty good in 2021. Like it was generally good. Like there weren't that many farmers. I left that little space of the meme area in 2022. Towards the end of it, went into advising or helping around with long term projects simply because of the fact that a lot of it did become farming, and at the same time, obviously, BNB was attacked by Binance kept getting attacked by the SEC and stuff like that, and yeah, it just wasn't a good story for it. And I mean, if you remember, like BNB was holding super well until part of the way through that year, or around the SEC team. I don't know. It really struggled. Like that's another question actually that leads me to ask is, obviously, when I'm referring to it as being like a potential BNB competitor, obviously, Binance as a brand is extremely big. You're not just going to jump into shoes like that. It's just you won't be able to get that sort of, let's say, recognition or advertisement when there's already a very strong brand behind it that's well, realistically it's like number one in the crypto space for reliability. But obviously that is completely irrelevant, because if you do manage to get a very good market share, people do like to use this gas list, and it does get advertised very well. Like the potential for the upside here is insane. I'm not saying you can never ever reach like Binance levels. Obviously, I can't tell the future. You can't tell the future. God knows
Yeah.
what you will do. I'm just saying it'll be
Absolutely.
very hard, of course. But in regards to the project itself, like liquidity pool, excellent. The fact that it's very cheap blockchain, it's like a fresh start. It's sort of like BNB at a fresh start. Obviously, you don't have, like I'm saying, you don't have that level of recognition yet. I'm not saying it can never be there, but even if you got a portion of that market share, like, it can do incredibly well. Like you're at 6.85 million market cap. Don't forget BNB. If I look, I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I believe the BNB market cap. I'm not going to put numbers out there. I'm just going to take a quick little look, because I don't want to get it completely wrong and sound like an idiot. But yeah, the BNB market cap is 32 billion 958 million 371,000. So, bro, if you even got 3% of that, you're talking like a billion market cap, which is God knows how many X from here. I'm not doing those maths right now, but
Yeah, it's a lot of X's. It's a
that's
lot of X's.
yeah.
I mean, the good thing about the fact that, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. I was there in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
90% on the BNB chain, doing those, whatever meme coins and even utility projects.
Yeah,
But again,
it was good
yeah,
in 21, and then 22. I'd say
yeah, it
mid
was
22.
horrible. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, last
like
year was horrible.
mid 22 was disgusting. Like certain launch pads were allowing the same farmers to recycle. I feel like there was just an influx of shithousery in the space, because obviously it's when the market was continually going down. So when the market's continually going down, the people that are profiting legitimately, they tend to leave and wait for better conditions, because they're profiting legitimately, whereas the people
100%.
that are not profiting legitimately are just going to continue rolling, and then they're not going to make as much money, so they keep rolling out, and I guess they just breed, man. I don't know what the fuck happened, but yeah, it went very shit in mid 22. But yeah, regardless, obviously I don't want to keep you too long this evening. I know you've probably got things to do, but
No
I very much enjoyed learning a little bit more about the project. And like I said, if even if you get to 1% of the BNB market cap, like this has crazy potential. But I obviously wish you the best. I have a lot more posts to be doing for the project, and I'm very happy to have learned more about it this evening. It does make me more bullish. And I mean, I don't just put like shit on my post. Like no matter if it's an ad or not, if it comes from Benson, I always put like I won't I'll try not to exaggerate or anything like that. But when I'm posting about this now, like I feel so much more confident to the point where I feel like it wouldn't be exaggerating if I do make some crazy posts. I don't know how to, what I mean? I can put
No,
something.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah, it makes me feel a lot more confident saying certain things than I would regardless. I've enjoyed having you here tonight. And you know what, guys? Like I would say, check out Bitrock. It costs you $0 to join their Telegram. Clearly a solid project, and it could have an insane upside potential in the bull market as well. I mean, there's no reason it can't grow steadily now. Obviously, it's very hard now. It's very hard for everyone, especially with the lack of new liquidity into the markets. But solid, chart's good so far, and the liquidity is very strong with a solid case here. So you know what? It costs you $0. Follow them, guys. Obviously, not financial advice. Crypto is very volatile. Can go up and down. You can lose everything you put in, etc., etc., etc. Please read my disclaimer before making any purchases. But yeah, the link is there, guys. Cost you nothing to join them. Keep up to date with them. Solid project, very technical guys, knowledgeable. That's all you want to see. Unless there's anything I'll leave it to you, man. If you want to add anything else, feel free to do so before we conclude.
Yeah, I mean, I just actually want to speak to to a couple of points you made. So first of all, I agree with everything you said. Again, going back to kind of the 2021 era, things are different now. It's a lot easier to launch a project, so therefore it's a lot easier to rug, to farm, to honeypot, what have you. And that's kind of what we've seen, like you said, in the second half, even from the start of 2022, but kind of especially in the second half onwards, even till this year. And especially on the BNB chain. But even ETH now, it's not safe anymore. I mean, from what we've seen, there's like 1 in 100, that you kind of maybe like Pepe or something that kind of hit that moonshot. But again, speaking of that, I mean, very quick point that I just remembered. Speaking of Pepe and Pepe 2.0, which again are kind of projects that we are not associated with, but the partners that have worked with them for marketing, and also some of the people that worked with them for marketing and exchange listings are on board with our project now. So we do have their listing, not from team members, but partners who have helped them with exchange listings, all of them, including Binance, working with us as well. We have some partners that have worked with them for marketing, also with us as well. That's just kind of our efforts to kind of surround ourselves with solid partners who do have track records. Granted, obviously, every project needs to stand its ground on its own. And if you don't have value in the project, then there's not much that can be done, no matter who you partner yourself with. But as kind of in terms of a holistic approach, kind of have the development side covered, utility side covered, news side covered, solid team side covered as well, but also have the partner side covered. And that's also why we kind of wanted to approach you and Benson as well. So that's one thing. The second thing is when you say that, yeah, obviously there's, we don't have too many eyes on us. We do have quite a few, but they're nowhere near where we can be in terms of eyes on us and users. And it's actually very positive for us to be at this type of market cap when we don't have, most of the exposure that we can achieve in the future, because God knows where that can take us,
Yeah,
if we had, if we had kind of matured, sorry, go ahead.
Obviously not to cut in, but it's like you say, it's extremely positive for you to be where you are right now. Firstly, because honestly, investor psychology is crazy. If you're in a bull market with a utility like yours, where it can be compared to something like BNB, obviously not on a marketing standpoint on social media just for legal reasons, but just like generically, not saying, oh, we're this X away from BNB, blah, 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 but just saying that you've got a similar utility. But I think you're cheaper, right?
We are a lot cheaper and a lot faster.
You're cheaper, faster, and you're extremely new or unknown, let's say.
Yeah.
And then when you start getting that bit of traction, like the same case as what I've just said applies right now. But in the bull market, you have all these people that come out like, oh my God, look, this is cheaper than BNB, faster than BNB, 1 billion market cap, let's go. But it's the same fucking thing right now. Yeah. It's just the psychology is the psychological change is insane. So yeah, I do think you have pretty insane potential, honestly. I don't know what else to say.
Thanks a lot for the nice words. Honestly, really appreciate that from you. But I mean, honestly, we also to kind of also lastly speak on the point of kind of the type of projects we want to have our chain known for. I mean, obviously, it is a blockchain. Anyone can launch whatever they want, however they want. But to kind of combat that, or not combat that, but to kind of counter it in a way, we have things like the token builder, which again is obviously a contract that can't be touched. And at the same time, it makes launching easier for people if, again, they have kind of a more standard requirement of a contract, because the contract cannot be changed. So what's in there is in there, nothing more, nothing less. But obviously, that kind of on the honeypot side of things kind of takes that option out the window for tokens launching through that. But obviously, again, you can't really predict things like rug pulls, which are more on the liquidity side. And also, even if the liquidity is fine, even if it's burned, whatever, you would still have possibly marketing farms or just bad teams or lazy teams or late delivery on utilities or lack of experience where they can't combat any FUD or answer any questions. There's a whole bunch of factors, but the token builder is just kind of one of those things that helps. And also shining spotlight on partner projects where, again, the team has a steady stream of those projects incoming. 3 are out, and then there's one more coming soon. I don't want to kind of disclose how soon, but soon. And then there's a whole bunch more. There's like probably 5 or 6 more lined up, at least, I think. And then there's more that are kind of approaching us and going through that vetting process and the KYC process and so on. So shining the light on those projects kind of takes away from people, or kind of reduces maybe the chances of people making maybe less informed investment decisions, and at the same time makes people who maybe potentially want to launch on the chain more incentivized to actually go through that vetting process, to have that spotlight shined on them, to actually then succeed and so on, or have higher chances at least of succeeding. So that's actually a benefit of being a chain that has stealth launched, that is able to engage with its community, take their feedback into consideration, interact with them, whereas a lot of the bigger players really don't have that. You don't really see kind of partner projects on other L2 chains or even L1 chains. Again, obviously, aside from like partnered integrations, which is a whole other thing, or sponsorships like by big corporate names or whatever. But what we're trying to do here is provide high value partnered projects that have undergone, as much of a vetting process as can be done in the crypto space, which again, still does not mean complete 100% lack of, ill will or malicious activity or whatever, but it's a very solid step in the right direction, especially when you work with a KYC agency that works with law enforcement. So that's kind of something we're able to do now. Now, whether that's something that's going to be, kind of taken more into the long term as the project grows and stuff like that, that's yet to be determined. We may still obviously have that, but to be able to kind of focus on that as an infant chain essentially is something that's very crucial to our success, and we're well aware of that. So it's kind of what I wanted to leave off with.
Yeah, I just put a tweet out for you as well. Like, this is like my genuine feelings. I don't have to put any disclaimer and shit on this, not legally anyway. But yeah, that's what I think about it. Like, I've really enjoyed it tonight. Like, I love BNB a lot, but the potential here is there, and the base community's here. I think this could do very, very well. I hope it does. I very, very much hope it does. But yeah, I've enjoyed having you here tonight. I just popped the tweet out. If everyone here wouldn't mind going and dropping a like and a comment, what did you think of Bitrock tonight? Obviously, I'm not going to force it, but obviously, if you enjoyed it, you also think that this project's great, drop a like, comment, retweet. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you, everybody that came and tuned in with us tonight. As you know, you're all very much appreciated. I hope you did find a gem here tonight or on one of the other evenings. We've been doing some very, very cool interviews, and yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Procrastinate for coming in and giving this presentation this evening. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be hearing. I know I've seen Bitrock around, popping in and out. I think through the Rap platform. I'll give them a shout out. They're always pecking around. These guys are always looking for a little eye on the project, so we'll give them a bit of a shout out. I respect the grind. I respect the hustle. Big up to William and the Rap guys. They're on Bitrock. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you, Procrastinator.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, been great, honestly. And yeah, take care, man. I will conclude it there simply because we are, we've been on for over an hour. You wanna keep-
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks,
Check
Trev.
out Bitrock and have a great rest of your evening. Peace.
Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Peace.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through.